The story of Payday starts from humble beginnings. Four men with unique criminal backgrounds brought together by an experienced handler to wreak havoc on the streets of New York. Dallas, Hoxton, Chains and Wolf, all from different walks of life, each bringing a unique skill set to the team, christened the Payday Gang. The heisting mastermind Bane had the experience and connections to facilitate a crime spree like no other, stealing priceless diamonds, tearing a money-laden panic room straight from a building, extorting $25 million from a corrupt IRS employee. Nothing was out of reach on the crew's first crime wave, least of all the priceless Mayan gold held within the secret reserve of the First World Bank. By pulling off the heist of the century, the gang put into motion a series of events that would change the course of America irrevocably. The codename Overdrill heist was so high profile, it only made sense that Bane's top crew should lie low for at least 12 months. During the hiatus, disaster struck. Someone had been badly wronged by their first spree, and Hoxton, the violent Brit, was arrested by the FBI, tried and swiftly imprisoned for his involvement in the gang's crimes. Weeks later, Bane contacted the remaining three, drafting in Dallas's younger brother to fill Hoxton's shoes, to mask up once again. This time, he turned their efforts against the Capitol and the elites in Washington, D.C. From bank to jewelry store, the crew continued exactly where they'd left off in 2012. Their contacts continued to grow in the process. Vlad the Baker, an unhinged Ukrainian with ties to every criminal endeavor in the book, always had some use of the gang. The Elephant, Simmons, a Republican senator for whom no job was too dirty, no matter the human cost. And of course, Hector Morales, a smuggler who played no small part in bringing the Payday Gang to DC and fencing the Overdrill gold. Yet strangely, the jobs he offered never seemed to go smoothly. Of course, their continued success was going to draw unwanted attention too. A man known as the Dentist circumvented Bane, blackmailing Dallas, the crew's de facto leader on the ground, to do a series of jobs for him directly. The caveat being, he had the power to arrange a breakout for their old gangmate Hoxton. In pursuing that end, the Dentist's jobs never felt right. An imposing bank heist, a hit on a Russian kingpin, a museum raid in search of a supposedly cursed diamond. However, he did hold up his end of the bargain, not only arranging a staged retrial for Hoxton, which provided the perfect opportunity to break him out, but also organising a hit on an FBI safehouse where the rat who betrayed Hox was burned out. To no one's surprise, it was Hector who'd worked with the police after his prints were found all over Overdrill's bounty. During this period, the crew also began to expand. After Hoxton's return made them 5, within the year they'd be joined by the likes of Jacket, Clover, and even John Wick, with Dallas's brother taking on the name Houston. One notable addition was Jiro, an ex-Yakuza from Japan who sought answers in the US regarding his missing son, Kento. The Dentist's final heist took the crew to Vegas, to the Golden Green Casino, where they drafted the aid of Sokol, a Russian heisting prodigy. The loot on this heist was unlike any other the crew had seen before, a golden coffer that once delivered saw the Dentist vanish as quickly as he'd appeared. Now though, the gang had the wind at their backs, growing exponentially and gaining a European contractor in the Butcher. DC's political figureheads were under pressure to put the now infamous gang to the sword, but even after bolstering their ranks with the likes of Commissioner Garrett and Captain Winters, the spree continued with little interruption. After meeting Jimmy, a drug-addled genius, the crew went truly global, taking the fight to Akan, a supposed parapsychic over in Russia. It was clear that no job was out of the gang's reach. Joined by the likes of Rust and supported by Wick's people over at the Continental, they were untouchable, or so they thought. Vernon Locke proved otherwise, hacking the crew's criminal network, CrimeNet, and demanding they cooperate with him, an agent of Murkywater, one of the few groups who consistently resisted the Payday Gang in the past. Locke saw more of a future within Bane's organisation than the corrupt Murkywater company, so he turned the crew's considerable resources against his former employer, alongside recruiting famed criminal Bodie to the cause. Although Locke proved to be just as fickle in his loyalty to the Payday Gang, betraying them and the Butcher to Commissioner Garrett up in Alaska. Yet, in another twist, it turned out that this betrayal had been staged to give Locke amnesty in succeeding Bane as the head of Payday Gang operations, as a certain group was out for blood. The Kataru, a mysterious cult-like organisation determined to change the world. As anticipated, during a heist in LA, Bane's own safe house in DC was raided, forcing Locke to intervene and steer the gang out of the Kataru orchestrated ambush. What we'd later learn was that this conflict had been bubbling since the inception of Payday in 2011. To better understand, Locke contacted August Lindenhurst, better known as Duke, a refined man with criminal inclinations who knew more about the Kataru than anyone else alive. He explained that whoever led the Kataru sought access to Baldwin's Lament, an ancient and powerful device. To access it first and potentially rescue Bane, the crew would need to go artifact hunting. The Brooklyn Bank, Washington FBI headquarters, and Murkywater's hidden storage facility deep in the south, Henry's Rock. The picture was becoming more clear. There were actually 2 more gold coffers, just like the Dentist's from back in the Golden Grin. The Qataru sought out all three, as together they were the key to the lament and whatever power it held. Kento, Jiro's son, was also finally located, but he was already indoctrinated and working as a Qataru lieutenant and leader of the Murky Water branch, which served as their private army. The dentist had been using the gang all along, with the elephant and even Vlad also having some deep connection to these boxers. According to Duke's theory, they were the three kings, primeval humans who'd lived for an eternity, influencing the human race at the behest of an alien species known to us as the Nephilim, inspirations for the angels and gods of every discernible religion. All was made clear in the Shacklethorne building, as the gang located the obsidian plate, the key to understanding what lay within the coffers. This technological marvel displayed maps and riddles written in the alien language of the Nephilim. When deciphered, it led the Payday gang to a location known as the Ark of the Watcher, which was said to house Baldwin's lament. But before they could put an end to the dentist's plans, first Bane needed to be recovered from his Qataru captors. The gang staged a prison break at Hell's Island, freeing Bane, who tore through Murky Water's highest-ranking mercs, killing their leader Kento at the end of his rampage. During captivity, his body had been pumped full of an experimental serum, one stolen by the gang from the Mercy Hospital over 7 years ago. It had removed his muscular inhibitors, granting immense inhuman strength, but only for a fleeting moment. Now it was destroying his cells just as violently. With that in mind, the crew split up, descending on all remaining Murky Water strongholds and sympathizers at once, in the process gaining new allies in San Francisco and Texas, whilst the Core 4 travelled to the coordinates of the Ark, which pointed to none other than the White House in DC. Air Force One was reported missing, the president feared dead in the days prior, so the gang were forced to engage with a Murky Water vanguard who'd seized their moment to take over the building. Deep within the Peok, they discovered the well-hidden entrance to the Ark, defended by a final great puzzle and a seemingly endless army of mechanical guardians. But neither could prevent the crew from forcing their way inside the magnificent chamber of the Ark, with Baldwin's lament at the centre of it all. Baldwin himself was a relic burned into the ground beside it, a reminder of the danger this device held. It wasn't long before the dentist's voice was heard once again, demanding entrance, with Locke and Bane already his prisoners. However, he'd underestimated the crew and their willingness to shoot first in any situation, ending his many millennia-long life in a single bullet. With that, Baldwin's lament could be activated, using the very same Mayan gold that had started their story 7 years prior, which had ultimately been purchased by the dentist. In a flash of blinding light, the lament had chosen its successor. The crew and Locke were released from the sanctum unharmed, yet Bane was nowhere to be seen. Weeks later, the president was finally recovered, somehow in fine health and deemed fit for duty, although his memories didn't seem to quite align. Whilst Bane's body might have been destroyed, his consciousness now lived on in the mind of the most powerful man in the world. The true power of the lament was to grant new life to the worthy. The Payday gang, as we know them, were free from the shackles of a life of crime, publicly reported dead at the scene of the White House. In truth, they performed the greatest heist of all, earning fortune and freedom for a life lived in peace. However, after the dust has settled, for how long will the Payday gang's long list of sins be allowed to go unpunished? Forever? Not a chance. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.